Such a powerhouse didn't seem to like the Han family. It seemed that the Han family had managed to upset a legendary battle pet warrior. The onlookers felt as if they were being kept in a cage with a fierce beast. Senior Feng was drenched in cold sweat. There were several times when he wanted to interrupt that middle-aged man, but he always felt someone was eyeing him with killing intent. He was afraid to talk. It was too late by the time he came back to his senses. The middle-aged man finished his story without any hindrances. Senior Feng only regretted that he had not killed every last member of the Li family. That talented family had led the Han family to glory, but left behind a massive trouble as well. The hidden problem had finally revealed itself that day. The Feng elder didn't even dare to breathe. He had never fought against a legendary battle pet warrior before, but being with next to one was already stressing him. After a long while of silence, Li Yuanfeng said to the middle-aged man, "Get up." The middle-aged man was overjoyed. Li Yuanfeng had believed him. The middle-aged man could not help but shed tears of excitement. Li Yuanfeng had returned. The Li family would no longer have to go through such an ignoble existence. They had suffered humiliation and unfair treatment for hundreds of years. No one could tell at that point how much they had sacrificed. They even had to witness the deaths of their beloved families right in front of their eyes. Finally, from that point on, they could hold their heads up high and retake their surname. "How many of you are left?" Li Yuanfeng asked calmly. The middle-aged man pulled himself together and said, "Sir, there are 200 descendants of the Li family, but most of them are scattered across different branches of the Han family. Some of them have long been assimilated by the Hans. They no longer share our ideals. There are only 12 of us who are still hoping to rejuvenate the Li family." "Only 12, Li Yuanfeng murmured. The once great Li family only had 12 left. He wanted to put on a smile but failed. It was sad. He had tried his best to safeguard the deep caves, but then he almost lost his entire family while he was away. Why did he even struggle for 800 years? Li Yuanfeng took a deep breath to calm himself down. He patted the middle-aged man's shoulder and said, "You will have your surname back from this day forth." "Yes, sir." The middle-aged man was brought to tears. It was their dream to have their surname back, which was also used by a legendary battle pet warrior. It was a great name. Han family. Li Yuanfeng looked around. Senior Feng dropped to his knees once he sensed the other man's anger. "Sir, the family that destroyed the Li family was not the Han family. We are the ones who took your people in so that the Li family could live on. They might not have enjoyed a good life here, but they're still here, at the very least. Sir, please show mercy in return for that small favor." "Nonsense! Han Jinsong, no," Li Jinsong argued with Senior Feng. "We have our family records and there's a log that says that the Han family played a part in the destruction of the Li family hundreds of years ago. We surrendered to you because we had no other choice. You have treated us harshly from day one. We were only able to survive because your former family head had set up that rule. Otherwise, you would have killed us all." "Sir, this is not true. We also have records left by our forefathers, stating that the Han family didn't cause the destruction of the Li family. We were just implicated. There would have been another family without the Han family around. If that were in fact the case, the Li family might have indeed been wiped out in its entirety." Li Yuanfeng glared at Senior Feng. The former moved his hand. Senior Feng felt a tremor and the next thing he knew, he was on the ground, spitting out blood. From Senior Feng's ripped clothes flew out some metal objects, all broken. One slap and Li Yuanfeng had broken several defensive items. The onlookers had lost their ability to talk. Han Yuqian, who had just been slapped away, watched in a daze. She had known Senior Feng since she was a kid. She had always seen him as a peerless fighter. He was a famous titled battle pet warrior at the peak. Never did she think she could ever see Senior Feng in such an embarrassed state. A legendary battle pet warrior. "You," Senior Feng tried to crawl up, but his reserve of astral powers were decreasing. much to his horror. The vortices in his cells were collapsing. He was losing his strength. His remaining doubts as to whether the warrior was at the legendary level were completely dispelled. The thing that was happening to him was terrifying him. The Han family doesn't deserve an exit, but I will show mercy since you said that it was thanks to you that the remaining Li members were able to survive. Li Yuanfeng put down his hand and announced, the Li family surrendered to you. Today, the Han family will surrender to the Li family in exactly the same way. From today on, the Li family will be the master and the Han family will become the slave. Any Han member who dares to fight back will be punished with death. Senior Feng trembled and struggled to raise his head, he could barely look into that pair of cold eyes. He knew that the Han family was doomed. Standing in front of him was the legendary battle pet warrior of the Li family, the one who, contrary to the general consensus, was very much alive, having lived for hundreds of years. He was still among the living and the Li family would rise again. The Li family would grow to become the most powerful force of the Dark Claw Base City. Sir, Li Jinsong was thrilled. His suffering in the past few years had not been in vain. Finally, such a grand development came to pass, a legendary battle pet warrior could change everything. Go and get all the members of the Li family. And you, go and get all the titled battle pet warriors of the Han family. I will kill 100 for every one you leave out. Li Yuanfeng ordered. Li Jinsong hurried away at once. Senior Feng felt bitter inside. Of course he didn't dare to leave anyone out. He could not imagine what a legendary battle pet warrior could do. A legendary battle pet warrior could leverage the tower's strength, while the tower in turn controlled the great powers of the world. He knew that, so he had to obey orders. I will do that now. Senior Feng crawled up while enduring the pain. Li Yuanfeng closed his eyes to adjust his emotions. He wanted to throw a temper and flatten that place, but the kindness in his heart ultimately stopped him. All this time, Suiping and So Lingyu said nothing. Li Yuanfeng was an experienced fighter, he had his reasons to deal with that matter in any way he wanted. Suiping was even more disappointed at the tower. He felt so sorry for those legendary battle pet warriors who were still staying in the deep caves. He had seen their sincere smiles. But, someone had to safeguard the deep caves. Why are the ones hurting always the good guys? Suiping clenched his fists. He was even more determined based in a thought he had developed before. Soon, Li Yuanfeng came back with 8 people. There were 2 children, 3 old men, a young man and 2 ladies. Those people weren't at a high rank and the hunchbacked old man was the most powerful of them all, he was at the title rank but he hid it well. Suiping had developed some amazing detection skills in the cultivation sites. If he didn't have those skills, he wouldn't have remarked that the old man was at the titled rank. 3 people are outside on a mission but I sent them a message, Li Jinsong reported to Li Yuanfeng with the utmost respect. The 8 people who arrived along with him stared at Li Yuanfeng in a daze. The old man at the tilted rank opened his murky eyes. A glow flashed past his eyes and then he trembled. He had seen a portrait of Li Yuanfeng and the resemblance was uncanny. The 2 kids stared at Li Yuanfeng with their watery eyes, curious and full of respect. So, this is the admirable legendary battle pet warrior that their parents always speak of. Li Yuanfeng raised his hand to let everyone stand up. I am sorry to learn that you've suffered in the past years, he said. He felt he could barely look at the old man who was smiling through his wrinkles, he felt laden with guilt. The old man at the titled rank said, Sir, that's all right. We are just thrilled that you're safe and sound. All the waiting and everything we did was well worth it, now that you're standing here before us. The Li family will rise again under your leadership. Li Yuanfeng nodded but said nothing else. Many titled battle pet warriors arrived not long after. The onlookers who belonged to the Han family were shuddering in fear. The higher UPS in the family, whom they would usually not get to meet, were actually coming in droves. The elders were there, even the family head was there. Whoosh! A stern-faced, mature man wearing an elegant robe showed up. He was a solemn-looking man. Behind him were over a dozen titled battle pet warriors who enjoyed a high status in the Han family. They answered the call, arriving as soon as they were able to since the order had been issued by Senior Feng himself. They had learned about the severity of that matter from him. A legendary battle pet warrior is here. And he is a member of the Li family, the very family they had been oppressing for generations. The first thought that popped into the family head's mind was to run away, but he immediately gave up on that idea. A legendary battle pet warrior was right there. Where could he run? A legendary battle pet warrior would have the means and the power to search for him all across the globe. Then there was the tower. They were able to gather information from every corner of the world. That was why no one would eagerly enrage a legendary battle pet warrior. You upset one and you upset all of them. My name is Han Tiancheng, head of the Han family. Nice to meet you, sir. Han Tiancheng descended from the sky a dozen meters away. He hurried over and bowed to his waist. He held his breathing and his heart was racing. He didn't know in what mood the legendary battle pet warrior was in or anything about his personality. But if that person were to be cruel and short-tempered, then he would never get a chance to speak. Han Tiancheng had readied himself for death on his way over, but that was a normal occurrence, since everyone would normally become afraid in front of death. And yet, there was no way to run for him. For the future of the Han family, he was the least able to run. Fortunately, he had already initiated the seed program for their family. He hid all their promising seedlings. There would still be hope for the Han family, as long as they could survive through that crisis. That was the plan that any major family would have. You're the family head. Li Yuanfeng narrowed his eyes to hide his killing intent. He could tell that the family head was at the peak of titled rank. He was someone with a long life ahead of him. He had greater potential than Senior Feng. That family head could further grow to reach the legendary rank in the future. I'm humbled to say that I am. Han Tiancheng lowered his head. He was afraid to look into Li Yuanfeng's eyes. From today onwards, the Han family will be our dependent family. You will be our servants and we will be the masters. All the members of the Han family must treat the members of the Li family like your parents, and you shall bow to us with the utmost respect. You shall never disobey any orders of the Li family. Li Yuanfeng asked Han Tiancheng, do you accept the terms? Han Tiancheng was drenched in cold sweat. He lowered his head and was only able to see the floor in front of his feet. He bit his teeth feeling awfully humiliated. Servants? Treat the members of the Li family like parents? That is not acceptable. He wanted to clench his fingers but was afraid that Li Yuanfeng would see that. He was a proud man but he was also smart enough. The Han family would be entirely wiped out if he fought back. He didn't have the right to negotiate, not to mention throwing a temper, when he was talking to a legendary battle pet warrior. The Li family people once had to beg to carry on with their lives, but then the tables turned over. The Li family was the commander. That was just how the world worked. That was the law of the jungle. I accept them. Han Tiancheng said. Saying those 3 words had taken up all of his strength. The elders of the Han family became frustrated. They were dying to speak up so they bit their lips, they had to bury their anger. At that moment, they could tell how the Li family members must have felt before. Sir, the Han family members stared in disbelief. Their family head had accepted the terms. So, we would have to follow the Li family's orders from that day on. A moment before they were the elites from the largest family in the Dark Claw Base City. 1 moment later, they became the captives. It was hardly acceptable. Father, Han Yuqian gazed at her father, Han Tiancheng. He had always been a proud man for as far as she could remember, no one would have dared to argue with him. But at the moment, Han Tiancheng was a vulnerable duckling, he didn't have the courage to say no to Li Yuanfeng. That was the power of a legendary battle pet warrior. Legendary battle pet warrior. Han Yuqian clenched her fists. She had dreamed of reaching that rank, but later she was dying for that breakthrough. She wished she could become a legendary battle pet warrior right that second. Li Yuanfeng cast an indifferent glance at Han Tiancheng. It wasn't surprising to see Han Tiancheng accept those terms. Han Tiancheng making an appearance meant he was ready to compromise, or else he would have run away. You will take over the Han family from today on, Li Yuanfeng said to the title-ranked old man. The old man no longer hunched his back. Finally, he was able to stand up straight after all those years of humiliation. The Han family's elders who had at some point acted in an excessively condescending manner were all lowering their heads and holding their breaths. The old man had been unable to cover up a smile. He had never felt so liberated. And yet, the smile gradually changed into tears. They had suffered too much and for too long, just for that day. Yes, sir, the old man said. Li Yuanfeng nodded. He opened a swirl and a slim figure flew out from the other side. It had 4 wings and resembled an angel, but its face was strange. It had 4 white eyes but no eyebrows. It also had a white nose and dark lips. This is Angel of Purgatory, my battle pet, and it will stay here. If the people of the Han family don't follow your orders, my battle pet will help you punish and discipline them. Li Yuanfeng said. The titled old man stared at the battle pet hovering above Li Yuanfeng's head. Han Tiancheng and the rest of the onlookers were frightened by that seemingly overpowering Angel of Purgatory, which seemed to be overpowering. It has to be a beast king. Sir, are you leaving us? The titled battle pet warrior asked Li Yuanfeng. He indeed felt as if the latter was actually leaving them. Li Yuanfeng nodded. I'll have to go to the tower and ask them about some things. I also have some things I need to do. Sir, do you have to go away so soon? The titled old man continued asking. He wished to speak more but stopped on second thought. He didn't want Li Yuanfeng to leave. Even though the Beast King was present, the old man felt he was still nervous. Besides, they couldn't count on the tower as far as they were concerned. That was a place that existed in name only. They had indeed reached out to the tower. They did make contact but the tower never gave them a reply. They finally gave up after repeated failures. Truth be told, contacting the tower would expose them. There are things that I have to do, Li Yuanfeng said. He looked at Suoping, the latter knew what Li Yuanfeng was referring to. Li Yuanfeng was angry because of what had become of the Li family. But he was a battle pet warrior who had stayed in the deep caves for 800 years. He was exceptional in controlling his mood. He would have died in deep caves a long time before if he were to lose his mind easily. Too many friends had died in front of him during the 800 years. What happened to the Li family had been unfair and he hated the tower because of this. However, the things that happened to the deep caves were part of a greater concern for the entire world. He was unable to simply turn a blind eye to that. Sir, Li Jinsong also wanted to persuade Li Yuanfeng to stay. On the other hand, Han Tiancheng was relieved. If Li Yuanfeng would have stayed there over the centuries and ruled the Han family with an iron fist, the Hans would end up suffering casualties. Things would be easier for them if just one battle pet remained. Brother Li, Suoping immediately understood what Li Yuanfeng was thinking and felt touched by the implications. His older brother was a great man, able to think about humankind even after his family had been wronged. Suoping was filled with deep esteem for the man. Brother Li, I will also provide some help to your Li family, if you insist on going to the tower. Once I get back to my store, I'll send a temporary employee in my store to help you out. That employee was raised in a major family and she surely knows about ruling a family. The onlookers shifted their attention from Li Yuanfeng to Suoping. Brother Li? That was unexpected. This guy dares to call Li Yuanfeng Brother Li. Li Yuanfeng, the legendary battle pet warrior. Was Suoping also a legendary battle pet warrior? The onlookers wondered. It was frightening to have 2 legendary battle pet warriors in the same place. Han Tiancheng also heard Suoping's words and his mind was weighed down. He attempted gauging Suoping but was unable to tell which rank he was at. Even so, Han Tiancheng was convinced that Suoping was at the legendary rank. "Sir, you are?" Han Tiancheng asked. Suoping cast a glance at him from the corner of his eye. "You don't have the right to know." Han Tiancheng felt embarrassed. Li Yuanfeng nodded to Suoping. "Good, I would still be worried if they were left here alone. I cannot waste any more time getting to the tower." "Brother Su, thank you. Consider it done." Suoping nodded. Li Yuanfeng waved his hand and the angel of purgatory flew down. The battle pet was roughly 8 meters long. It bowed down so that Li Yuanfeng could talk to it. "Master, what is your request?" said the pet with respect. Its voice was gentle and clear, a mix between the sound of a spring and a girl's voice. The talking battle pet stunned everyone again. Han Tiancheng turned pale. He knew that some beast kings were able to speak the human language, but that was also an indication of their intelligence, that Angel of Purgatory had a high enough intellect as well. All of a sudden, Han Tiancheng understood why Li Yuanfeng had decided to leave one of his battle pets. An intelligent beast king could be regarded as a human being. Li Yuanfeng relayed his orders to the battle pet and patted its head. "Tell my battle pet if anything happens. You will deal with all the Han family matters while Brother Su's help arrives. You'll have to get used to that as well," he said to the old man. The titled old man looked at the Angel of Purgatory with reverence and nodded. "Understood, sir." The old man stole a glance at Suoping, who appeared to be a young man. The former was convinced that the guy was also a senior legendary battle pet warrior, like Li Yuanfeng. Li Yuanfeng nodded. With a frown, he shouted at the Han family's onlookers, "Get down on your knees, now." The onlookers struggled, but they eventually complied. First the elders got down on their knees and the others could only follow suit. Sadness covered their faces. They knew that as of that moment, their past life of luxury was over. "I will trust this place to you now. Brother Su, let's go," Li Yuanfeng said. Suoping nodded. As Li Yuanfeng, Suoping, and Sol Lingyu left, the others watched on as they made to leave. Han Yuqian suddenly noticed the girl who had been walking behind Suoping and Li Yuanfeng. She blinked in disbelief. She had paid a visit to the Valiant Academy a while back, to see her old teachers and look around to see if there were promising young students whom the Han family could recruit. She had seen Sol Lingyu back then. What is she doing here? Han Yuqian could not figure that out. The three people left the building and flew away. "Why didn't you kill some of them to vent your anger?" Suoping asked Li Yuanfeng. Li Yuanfeng burst out laughing and replied, "I'm not that heartless. Brother Su, you have to become aware of the violence bottled within you. You might get into some trouble when you go through your heavens test in the future." Suoping shrugged. "I actually hope that my heavens test can show me something different. Unfortunately, I don't think there is anything to expect. I have seen it all." Li Yuanfeng forced a bitter smile. He couldn't have witnessed a legendary battle pet warrior's heavens test. Li Yuanfeng changed the subject. "We will soon be arriving at the Valiant Academy, where the 7th entrance is located. I want to check the pathway there. Do you want to go?" A glint of coldness rose in Suoping's eyes when he heard the name. "I won't go there, I have other things to take care of." Li Yuanfeng realized that those matters couldn't be good because of the killing intent in Suoping's eyes. Sol Lingyu bit her lips. She knew that Suoping was talking about revenge. She still didn't know how to face Suoping after all the troubles she had caused. Valiant Academy. Dragon Tower. Many people were gathered there, all of them were staring at the black tablet. "The 33rd level, is something happening to our eyes? Is there something wrong with the tablet? Who is that Mr. Su?" The onlookers wondered. From among the crowd, 3 people stood the closest to the tablet. The girl gradually recovered from her astonishment and she murmured, "That fake eye was right. The guy broke all the records and he went all the way to the top level. How did he do that? Fei Tianyi was one of the witnesses and he didn't have to lie about anything. But the highest record went from 23rd level to the 33rd level. 10 levels. It sounded unbelievable. That guy who went into the graveyard forest was also able to enter the Dragon Tower. Does a person like that really exist? The girl asked herself. She was Guo Lingxia, one of the 4 famous students. Her record at the Dragon Tower was the 17th level. The creatures she had met on the 17th level were enough to scare her. She couldn't even imagine what it was like, on the 33rd level. Most likely the Dragon Tower is acting up, a young man whispered. The young man stood tall and straight, he had graceful dark hair. It was Ji Wu, one of the 4-star students, he was also counted as one of the blessed talents as well. His record at the Dragon Tower was better than Guo Lingxia's and the two had contended against each other, he outperformed her every time. Guo Lingxia didn't respond. She also suspected that something had gone wrong in the Dragon Tower, but it was strange that the principal and the vice principal had not stepped forward to explain themselves. Besides, she met Mr. Su, the one whom Fei Tianyi had spoken about at the graveyard forest. She didn't think Mr. Su was emaciated or old. That was what her instinct told her. Mr. Su was definitely not old, he wasn't an aged legendary battle pet warrior which had used some special method to keep a youthful appearance. I hope so, Guo Lingxia finally replied. She hoped that the Dragon Tower had a faulty detail somewhere, otherwise, she would have to suffer a massive blow to her confidence. She was aware that she could not compete against the best students in the history of the Valiant Academy, but she did believe that she was a talent. If that new record was real, then it meant that the highest level a person in his or her 20s could reach was the 33rd level. She would turn 19 that year, 20 was not far away from her. She did a calculation and believed that reaching the 20th level when she turned 22 was the best she could do. But, for there to be such a massive gap between the 20th level and the 33rd level. The higher the level was, the more difficult it would be. She could not longer figure out how come the differences between people were so big. Guo Lingxia was even more convinced that something had happened to the Dragon Tower. She had heard that the Dragon Tower had been closed for maintenance. That seemed to be proof supporting her theory. Whoosh! Whoosh! 3 people flew over. The students around the tablet looked into the sky. Only those with a prominent identity could fly around like that on campus. Is that? Guo Lingxia found one of the 3 familiar. She wanted to take a closer look but the 3 had flown away. They were going to a mountain where many faculty members resided. Who has the courage to fly across campus? Some students uttered their dissatisfaction. Something important, I suppose, someone replied. The Valiant Academy was well known across the globe. It was unlikely that some hot-headed young man would break in and fly around like that. Even the battle pet warriors at the peak would have to behave and follow the rules. The Valiant Academy had produced a fair amount of titled battle pet warriors. The principal was at the legendary rank, the Valiant Academy could be viewed as the territory of a legendary battle pet warrior. Anyone who would dare to break the rules would usually be at the legendary rank. None of the titled battle pet warriors would have the courage to try. I believe some guests will be arriving shortly. Yun Wanli raised his eyebrows, he was writing a letter in his study. He stood up and gazed into the distance. Whoosh! He vanished on the spot, but he did not teleport, he just flew out of his study at a fast speed. Friends from afar, Yun Wanli couldn't finish his words when he saw the 3 and he was dumbstruck. Fate Challenger Su, the 3 were Suiping, Li Yuanfeng and So Lingyu. Why are you still here? I thought you had already gone to the tower. Suiping was surprised to see Yun Wanli. Yun Wanli forced a bitter smile. I just came back. I'm writing a letter to report to the tower about the deep caves. Li Yuanfeng raised his eyebrows in surprise. Writing a letter? Why don't you just go and tell them? What? Do you have to write letters to report even the urgent matters? Yunwan Li could tell that Li Yuanfeng was not at all happy about that. He explained, Sir, you don't know this, but the master of the tower stays in closed-door cultivation for years and rarely comes out. I don't think I can meet him if I just barge in. Everyone has to make an appointment. I'm writing to him about the deep caves. He will receive me immediately when he sees the letter. Li Yuanfeng sneered. Everything would be doomed if something goes wrong before this master comes out. Li Yuanfeng no longer had a favorable opinion of the tower after everything that happened to his family. He wanted to go to the tower just because he was a kind man and he wanted to solve the problem at the deep caves. Yunwan Li knew that he couldn't give a satisfactory answer to Li Yuanfeng, so he changed the subject. You went to the corridor, right? Is she your sister? Su Ping nodded. We got delayed in the corridor. I thought you left the day we went to the corridor. How come you barely came back? That is a long story. My way out was troublesome, we encountered some beasts and had to take some detours, wasting some time in the end, Yunwan Li explained. Su Ping said nothing in reply. Solingyu sized up the principal with curiosity. She had met him once when she entered the academy. After that, she would only see the principal's image as represented in statues and portraits of him on campus. There she was, seeing the principal again. And once more, she felt the power of Su Ping's status. Don't write the letter, I will go to the tower with you. I'm curious about that so-called master. How arrogant of him! Li Yuanfeng snorted. Yunwan Li forced a bitter smile. Sir, the current master is at the Fate State, and he's trying to break through to the stage beyond the legendary rank. All the problems on the blue planet can be solved once he succeeds. We understand why he spends so much time cultivating. Li Yuanfeng raised his eyebrows. Fate State. Even so, he was not afraid. Going beyond the legendary rank is not an easy job. He shouldn't be a dog in the manger if he does want to achieve this, focusing completely on his cultivation. He should outright give up the position and let other people run the tower. What is the point of having the tower if he just concentrates on his cultivation and nothing else? Yunwan Li wanted to say something but gave up. Li Yuanfeng was his senior, he couldn't argue with him. Principal, where is that student you called Nan something? Su Ping cut in and went straight to the point. He wanted to settle all the lingering troubles so he could go back to this store and think about how to rescue the little skeleton. Yunwan Li noticed the coldness in Su Ping's eyes and realized what he wanted. After a slight hesitation, Yunwan Li offered his reply, all the students are usually on campus. You can ask his mentor, I will get him and have him take you. Sure. Yunwan Li quickly called a middle-aged man over. The man flew to their position, disregarding the no-flying rule because Yunwan Li had urged him to be quick about it. Sir, what is the matter? The middle-aged man asked. Yunwan Li made the introduction. This is Mr. Li, a legendary battle pet warrior. The middle-aged man was startled. Nice to meet you, sir. He bowed. Li Yuanfeng waved his hand. He wasn't a man who cared about formalities. Fate Challenger Su is looking for Mr. Nan. Take Fate Challenger Su to see him, Yunwan Li said. Fate Challenger. The middle-aged man stole a glance at Su Ping. Being a titled battle pet warrior himself, the man understood the power of Fate Challengers, people who could defeat legendary battle pet warriors while still being at the titled rank. That was even more difficult than reaching the legendary rank. It is my honor to meet you, Fate Challenger Su. The middle-aged man cupped his hands. Su Ping waved his hand. You flatter me, Mr. Kong. Now, take me to that student. Yes. The middle-aged man then bid farewell to Yunwan Li and Li Yuanfeng. Su Ping left with Solingyu and that middle-aged man. This is Nan's dorm. They arrived at the dormitory. The middle-aged man landed in front of a door. He didn't push the door open but soon walked back to where Su Ping was. He is not here. The room is empty. Su Ping frowned. I think Nan came back with some wounds. So, he's probably in the healing center, the middle-aged man explained. Su Ping told him to lead the way, and they soon arrived at the healing center. The middle-aged man went to ask around and came back to report that Nan had gone to the Dragon Tower. The three made the trip over to the Dragon Tower. Right in front of the Dragon Tower a dense crowd was gathered. Guo Lingsha and Ji Wuyu stood closer to the Dragon Tower, but there was some empty space around them. The other students were afraid to stand too close to them, in case their presence would upset the pair. Never mind. Let's go back. I will come again after the Dragon Tower opens. Guo Lingsha didn't like the bustling noises in the area. Ji Wuyu agreed. He wouldn't have gone there to have a look if he hadn't heard about that stunning record. He would have been cultivating right then otherwise. He was not a person who liked noises, he preferred cultivating alone. His talent had been more than proven, but he rose to his current status because he worked harder than others. When they were about to leave, the crowd stepped to the sides, opening a path for the new arrivals. Nan Tian. Guo Lingsha narrowed her eyes. Ji Wuyu saw that boy as well. The 4-star students, Fei, Nan, Ji, Guo. Fei Tianyi was the best of the 4 and he had the strongest combat strength. Nan Tian ranked the second, he was weaker in combat strength but stronger in spirit, which had been proven by the record he had set at the graveyard forest. Interesting. You guys are here. Nan Tian put on a fake smile as he saw Ji Wuyu and Guo Lingsha. Are you here because of the record? Guo Lingsha asked. Even though she ranked behind Nan Tian, she wasn't afraid of him. It wasn't like he could kill her or something. Besides, she was younger and she used that as an advantage. She was the youngest of the 4-star students, she could accept being ranked 4th. Nan Tian looked past her at the tablet. He narrowed his eyes when he saw the name and the number on the first row. The 33rd level. The rumor was true. That was 10 levels higher than the past record. The students would joke about reaching the highest level, but then someone actually did it. Guo Lingsha grinned when she saw Nan Tian's reaction and that was a grin of irony. She knew that the person who had set the record was the one who had slapped Nan Tian in the graveyard forest. That person had broken the records in both places. Brother Nan, take your time to cherish this. I'll be on my way, Ji Wuyu said. Nan Tian nodded to him. Ji Wuyu walked past Nan Tian, then several people arrived from the air all of a sudden. They landed so quickly that dust was stirred up. What? Ji Wuyu raised his guard out of instinct. He mobilized his astral powers. Next, he became rooted to the spot. One of the people was Nan Tian's mentor. The other 2 people were young and he knew the girl. The missing student. Su Ping, So Lingyu and the mentor stopped in midair. Ji Wuyu narrowed his eyes, flying was a sign of the titled rank. Nan Tian. The middle-aged man noticed Nan Tian right away because he was the moon with a myriad of stars around him. Nan Tian turned around. First, he saw his mentor. Then, he saw the other 2 people. He was frozen on the spot. Come here, Su Ping said. Whoosh! Nan Tian was pulled toward him by an invisible force which directly lifted him from the crowd. Then, Su Ping threw him to the ground. Sir! Nan Tian looked at his mentor in a daze. The middle-aged man was surprised by Su Ping's killing intent. He didn't know why Su Ping was there, but his gut told him that it wasn't because of something good. And yet, he was afraid to ask. Is he one of the guys who told you to go to the deep caves? Su Ping asked So Lingyu. So Lingyu eyed Nan Tian with a troubled look. He was one of them. The others are members of his club, good. Su Ping nodded. Nan Tian was crushed, reduced to pieces of flesh and blood. The sudden reaction left everyone dumbstruck. Did he just kill Nan Tian? Both Nan brothers died within a few days. Truth be told, there were 5-star students at the Valiant Academy because the Nan meant both brothers and both of them had died. Mr. Su, the middle-aged man, was startled and furious. Nan Tian was his student and they had shared an emotional bond. How could Su Ping have killed Nan Tian for no reason? Also, Nan Tian was a master battle pet warrior with great potential. He was able to fight head-to-head against those at the upper position of the titled rank when he exerted himself. However, he didn't even stand a chance to strike back this day. Even the mentor failed to see how Su Ping had done it. Anyone else? Su Ping asked Su Lingyu. Su Lingyu didn't know that Su Ping would kill for her sake. She bit her lips, remembering her days in the deep caves, and how Su Ping had risked his life to get her out. And Ji Feng, Su Lingyu gave the rest of the names. Su Ping nodded and said to the middle-aged man, "Have them come here." The middle-aged man argued, "Mr. Su, isn't this a bit too?" He wanted to say that it was too much, but Su Ping's cold glare silenced him. Even Nan Tian had been killed, he didn't want to offend Su Ping for the sake of the other students. That was not a man to be offended. The middle-aged man turned around and left to find the students for Su Ping. The onlookers stared at the remaining pieces and blood stains on the ground, afraid to breathe. Those who had not seen Su Ping in the graveyard forest were appalled by that vicious person who had come out of nowhere. "The Nan family is doomed," Guo Lingsha murmured. The two most talented members of the family had been killed in the Valiant Academy. The Nan family didn't have other talents, and she even suspected that Su Ping would go and flatten the Nan family to the ground. Ji Wuya wore a grave face. The Nan family once had a legendary battle pet warrior. It was evident that the young man wasn't afraid of such a fact. Ji Wuya felt glad that he preferred staying out of trouble, or else he would have been the one killed that day. Soon after, the middle-aged man returned with several students in tow. Su Ping asked Su Lingyu, "Are they the ones?" Su Lingyu nodded. Su Ping lifted his hand. Amid several bangs, he killed the students from a distance. The middle-aged man was flying toward Su Ping when he heard the noises. Startled, he turned around, only to see some blood. The man turned pale. "Go and tell your principal that I'm going home, and that I'll trust them to go to the tower," Su Ping said to the middle-aged man and flew away without delay. Su Lingyu looked at the pool of blood and went after Su Ping. The middle-aged man was at a loss for words. "That's not a legendary battle pet warrior, but he's more intimidating." Guo Lingsha was absent-minded. Su Ping's behavior and the result recorded in the Dragon Tower convinced her that, even if Su Ping wasn't at the legendary rank, he had power on par with such a level. But Su Ping wasn't even 22 yet. She had never heard about anyone like him. Of course, the other explanation was that Su Ping was older and that the Dragon Tower malfunctioned. Ji Wuya watched as Su Ping flew away and clenched his fist. He suddenly realized he had to work even harder. "That is Mr. Su, he is. What's his name? I cannot believe it. I didn't see how he did it, but he killed Nan Tian. If the Dragon Tower is not broken, that person should be close to the legendary rank." The onlookers exclaimed. All of them knew that the man was known as Mr. Su, but no one knew his full name. From that day onwards, in principle, no one would break his record. The tablet didn't record his full name nor his age. The only information about him was Mr. Su. He became a myth. Whoosh! Su Ping left the Valiant Academy. He summoned the Inferno Dragon. It had learned to fly after taking the Purple Blood Dragon's bloodline, and it could do so at a very fast speed. Su Ping landed on one of its shoulders. Su Lingyu stood next to him. "Are we going back?" Su Lingyu kept her head low. She was afraid to look into Su Ping's eyes. Su Ping nodded. "I didn't have time to ask you. Tell me. What has happened to you? I don't think you're at the titled rank yet." Su Lingyu nodded and answered honestly, "The fact that I can fly is because of Moon. After I came to the Valiant Academy, I had a chance to enter a mysterious realm. I don't know what Moon ate when we were there, but things changed when we came back. That change gave Moon some special abilities. Like how it can integrate with me. That's the reason why I can fly. Change. Suaping was interested. Let me have a look. Solingyu nodded. The silver scales ebbed away from her. Her skin returned to normal and the silver scales gathered on her spine, eventually turning into a ray of silver light. The silver light then expanded. The dragon extended its wings. The Moonfrost Dragon. But it looked different from when Suaping had given her the pet. The Moonfrost Dragon was larger, and it had 3 horns instead of just 1 on its head. The wings and body structure looked different as well, the scales looked more exquisite. Suaping was taken aback. That was an Ocean Frost Dragon. The dragon had evolved. The Ocean Frost Dragon was the evolved version of the Moonfrost Dragon, a top-level dragon at the legendary rank. It would reach the Fate state directly when it reached adulthood. Of course, dragons had many mortal enemies and it was hard for them to grow up without suffering any problems. They were also unable to become adults if they didn't have enough energy. A dragon could spend its entire life as a tiny, weak dragon. Suaping raised his hand. The Ocean Frost Dragon felt a familiar sense from Suaping and it moved closer so that he could pat its head. This is the Ocean Frost Dragon, a beast with a Fate state bloodline. You must treat it well, Suaping said to Solingyu. She was confused. What is the Fate state? The legendary rank has 3 states and the Fate state is the highest, Suaping explained. The principal is at the Ocean state, the lowest state of the legendary rank. In the entire blue planet, I suppose the number of legendary battle pet warriors at the Fate state is not over 3. He was being conservative. He had not met anyone at the Fate state when he visited the tower. Still, he had just learned from Yunwan Li that the master of the tower was at the Fate state. He didn't know if there were others he had not heard of yet. Not more than 3. Solingyu could not believe that. In the entire globe, there were less than 3 legendary battle pet warriors at the Fate state. Even so, her battle pet had a Fate state bloodline. That was to say, she would have a chance to stand next to the most powerful battle pet warriors in the future. Of course. She thought of her own rank. She would have to reach the legendary rank when her battle pet attained that rank. She would have to cancel the contract with the dragon if she didn't break through before that happened, or else she would be slowing her dragon down. Solingyu gazed at the Ocean Frost Dragon with those thoughts weighing her down. To reach the legendary rank. That was something she could not even think of. Her highest goal had at one time been to reach the titled rank. As far as she knew, the titled battle pet warriors would deserve the admiration of countless people. That day she realized that she had to reach the legendary rank, or else she might have to part ways with the Ocean Frost Dragon in the future. She had been with her dragon for a long time, and the dragon had stunned everyone for her sake during the Elite League. She had realized back then that she could never leave the dragon. The dragon was not only her battle pet, but her friend and family. Solingyu clenched her fists silently. She was only a burden to Suaping and she had almost gotten him killed recently, they had escaped by chance. However, Suaping's battle pet had been left in the deep caves and she didn't even know if the little skeleton was still alive or not. There was a time when Suaping was the loser of the family and she the hope. She had been working hard and studying well in school so that she could become a titled battle pet warrior one day, to better take care of her parents and the family. And yet, she had become a burden, even for her battle pet. She and her battle pet would eventually have to part ways because she was too weak. Suaping noticed that Solingyu was being troubled by something. He asked out of curiosity, "What's on your mind?" What was the girl thinking about? Solingyu shrugged and shook her head. She pretended to be fine when she said, "Nothing. I just feel that the world is vast, while I am, too small." She didn't finish her sentence. She felt sad and a sensation of unfairness. "The world is a vast one indeed," Suaping replied. He could empathize with that. He had been exposed to countless worlds thanks to the system. He wasn't even sure if the world he lived in was like one of the planes as defined by the system. The ocean frost dragon has an inherited skill which I think is called birth in frost. The dragon can stick to another object and disguise itself. This must be the reason why you were able to hide, So Ping said. I didn't know the skill could also enhance the strength of the target. Soling Yu nodded. She didn't know the details and she had only found out about the skill when the ocean frost dragon used it. She had yet to find out about the specifics and only gathered some information based on her experience. What is that saying? The silly ones are lucky. So Ping chuckled. Soling Yu pursed her lips. I don't know how you manage to laugh right now. Aren't you worried about your skeleton? So Ping put away his smile. Of course I'm worried. But, would worry get me anywhere? I have to find a solution. I can be sad all the time but that won't help me, will it? Soling Yu looked at him but remained silent. She thought that So Ping was just pretending to be okay, just so that she wouldn't become burdened. But do I deserve this? Longjiang Base City. Pixie Pet Store. The base city's economy was gradually recovering after the beast strike. The strike itself had actually made the base city famous. Fame exerted some influence. The base city was making more trading deals with other base cities, gradually becoming more attractive to other powerful battle pet warriors. The Pixie Pet Store became even more famous and people in other base cities around the Longjiang base city knew about that store. That was how it worked among battle pet warriors. Once they found a good pet store, they would tell each other about it. So Ping and Soling Yu noticed many powerful presences on the street when they came back riding the Inferno Dragon. The buildings that were previously the residence of the general public were being occupied by battle pet warriors. The main street had become a commercial street catering to battle pet warriors. Whoosh! The Inferno Dragon descended from the sky and the flames which bursted free from the beast's body alerted the battle pet warriors around. Dragon! What is that dragon? I haven't seen any dragon like that. It's kind of like an Inferno Dragon, but is it? People crowded around the Pixie Pet Store. Qin Duhuang, who lived right across the street, noticed the disturbance outside. He was surprised that the little skeleton had returned. He gave his paperwork to his secretary and left the building. He had modified the building and made it a classy one. We're back. So Ping got down from the Inferno Dragon's shoulder and gazed at the Pixie Pet Store. Even the air felt familiar and sweet. Home sweet home. The moon at home was the brightest of all. It's Mr. Su. Mr. Su is back. Some onlookers recognized him and shouted in excitement. I'm back. So Ping was in a better mood to see them. He nodded to them with a smile. The store was still in business. So Ping had told Joanna to look after the store before he left. She was the sole formal employee and had the right to look after the store on So Ping's behalf. It was just that she couldn't provide professional training for advanced battle pets. She could, however, sell pet food and take care of pets in the nursing pens. I see that you found your sister. Tang Ruyan smiled at Soling Yu, who was standing behind So Ping. Soling Yu bit her lips and stole a glance at So Ping. You're my teacher's younger sister. What should I call you? Zhongling Tong stared at Soling Yu with her watery eyes. The girl was similar to her in age and was quite the looker. It seemed that the girl was a little timid. It was as if she were feeling bad for doing something wrong. Whatever you like. Call her by her name, So Ping said. He had never cared about etiquette. There was no need since everyone present was quite young. Zhongling Tong blinked. Really? She's your student? Soling Yu gazed at So Ping in surprise. Since when did So Ping have a student? But her confusion didn't last for long. So Ping had every right to have a student. Yes. So Ping gave a brief answer. He went into the store as he asked, was everything okay in the store while I was away? Yes. The store is famous across the Longjiang base city. No one dares to come here to make a scene. You may not know this, but our store is regarded as the best in the Longjiang base city. There are quite a lot of people lining outside and they always behave, Tang Ruyan answered. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. It was a surprise, but it had also been expected at the same time. The Pixie Pet Store had high standards in all regards, better than the other pet stores. It was only natural that the store would go viral. The 5 major families controlled the other industries and resources. They would fiercely compete against each other, but they wouldn't compete against Su Ping in the pet store business. That was why there was no longer anything hindering the development of the Pixie Pet Store. The store quickly grew to be the best brand in the Longjiang base city. Although it hadn't been a surprising fact. You're back. Joanna stood up from the seat behind the counter. Thank you for everything. Su Ping nodded to her. It's only my job. How was the revenue? Su Ping asked. We were unable to provide professional training while you were away. We could only give general training, sell pet food and manage the nursing pens. The total revenue is over 2 million, Joanna reported. Su Ping nodded. That was to be expected. He wouldn't make much money without professional training. Of course, while professional training could get him more money, it would also imply a higher energy cost. He would have to train the pets himself to offer professional training. I think your original self is an order god. Did I get it right? Su Ping remembered something. They didn't go to another room to talk in private because So Lingyu and the other 2 girls wouldn't understand what he was talking about anyway. He didn't care even if they could understand. Do you know what kind of being would have a physical body that would not decay upon death and the past memories would still exist in that physical body? He was talking about the finger he had seen at the Valiant Academy, the finger that was regarded as the Dragon Tower. An incorruptible physical body. That was not a question that Joanna would expect. Why are you asking? I have my reasons. Just tell me. Su Ping didn't want to get into the details. Joanna didn't probe further. The bodies of the usual god warriors can keep their physical bodies incorrupt after death for a short while. God warriors are on par with those who have the star rank. Those at the star rank can master the rules of nature and the force of time. Also, they are physically strong to begin with. They can travel across the universe by themselves and attack interstellar warships. A short time? How short? Su Ping frowned. An era. It's like 100,000 years according to your time references. Of course, that's the time for the weak ones at the star rank. The strong ones at the star rank realm can keep their physical bodies intact for 10 era, a million years, for example. My original self can do that. Her life expectancy is 100 eras, and her body will stay sound for a million years, even after death. Joanna continued, the superior gods can maintain their physical bodies intact for 1 age. Even the end of an age wouldn't necessarily destroy their physical bodies. Su Ping felt that the measuring units for time Joanna used were kind of large. He didn't know that the ones at the star rank could do that. Even the weakest at the star rank could ensure that their physical bodies would stay uncorrupted for 100,000 years. That was a long time. To put it in perspective, the average legendary battle pet warriors could only live for 1,000 years. The legendary battle pet warriors at the Fate State could only live for 10,000 years. It seemed that there was only one step between the Fate State and the star rank, but anyone who was able to make that step would enjoy a much longer life. What do you mean by an age? Su Ping asked. So Lingyu, Tang Ruyan, and Zhong Lingtong were perplexed. What on earth were the 2 talking about? 100,000 years? 1,000,000 years? Were they making up a story? Age is the longest time unit. Joanna heaved a sigh. An age includes more than 1,000,000 eras. I was born in the Archean divinity. The place was approaching the end of the immemorial age back then, on the verge of entering the remote age, an age when all forces fought in a wild war. With time, even the Archean divinity was broken into pieces. My current homeland is actually a broken piece from the Archean divinity. The immemorial age lasted for millions of years and countless powerful people came into being. Some were born and some died. Even a fair amount of superior gods died. However, their corpses would remain incorrupt for a whole age, as long as they weren't deliberately destroyed. Solingyu and the other two girls were completely lost when she finished. It was as if they were learning to read hieroglyphs. But they did catch the part when Joanna said she was from a broken piece of something. They had long believed that Joanna was not from the subcontinent district because of her flawless looks and her intimidating strength. She was a mystery. They were finally convinced that Joanna was indeed from an unknown place. An age, So Ping murmured. He had a feeling that the will and the memory he sensed in the Dragon Tower was not from the current age. That was to say, it was likely that the Heaven Killer was a superior god from the immemorial age. He wouldn't have given himself such a crazy name if otherwise. That is too far away from me. So Ping wanted to become someone like a superior god, but he knew that was too far away from him. He shook his head. He had yet to reach the legendary rank, the star rank was still out of reach for him, let alone something beyond that. So Ping turned and said to Solingyu, "Go home. Mom and Dad are worried. Tell them that I'm also back, but I won't go home for the moment. I have other things to do." "Ah? Oh. Yes." Solingyu was startled. She cast one more curious glance at Joanna before she left. She knew that Joanna was not a common girl you could find on the street. She was unable to understand a single thing that Joanna had just mentioned. "Little Tang, I have a job for you," So Ping said. Tang Ruyan moved her gaze away from Joanna. "What job? I'm older than you. You should call me Big Tang," she added. "You wish," So Ping answered and told her about Li Yuanfeng's family. "You can deal with all kinds of situations as long as you don't fight a legendary battle pet warrior. I will entrust you with helping Li Yuanfeng. If you do your job well, that legendary battle pet warrior may like you and grant you some gift in return." Tang Ruyan blinked. He was telling her to help a legendary battle pet warrior straighten out his family? He is a legendary battle pet warrior, right? Would there be anyone who wouldn't abide by a legendary battle pet warrior's orders? Tang Ruyan was curious. So Ping argued grumpily, "On the surface, of course they will listen. I told you to go and help because I want you to weed out those who would do something in the dark. Why else do you think you're needed if a legendary battle pet warrior can solve all problems just by standing there?" Tang Ruyan pouted. "I see. I will do my best to solve the problems as soon as possible. You don't have to hurry. Just do it well. Don't worry. I know what I should do." So Ping then turned to Zhongling Tong. "I have other things to do. You don't have to stay in the store. Go and study by yourself if you have some time. The teacher will lead you to the door, but you must learn by yourself. It's not easy to become a trainer, what matters the most is your own learning and observation skills. Feel free to explore the trainer's path yourself." Zhongling Tong was surprised. Was So Ping going to be a complete hands-off master with her? But, sir, you haven't led me into any doors yet. How unfair. Leading her to the door? So Ping had not told her anything about training pets since she arrived. He wasn't leading her anywhere. How can you say that? You are inside my store, right? So Ping pointed to the door. Zhongling Tong was dumbstruck. That was the door? So Ping's eyes confirmed her guess. Zhongling Tong opened her mouth but said nothing. She just gazed at So Ping with her watery eyes. "Now, off you go. Close the door. I have something I must do," So Ping said. "We're not opening for business today." Joanna was surprised. He has just returned. Being the money lover he is, shouldn't he begin welcoming the guests right now? But it didn't seem like So Ping was joking. Joanna didn't ask further. In the meantime, many people were trying to enter the store. Su Ping heard a hearty laugh. Qin Duhuang entered the store. Ha, 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 Mr. Su, finally, you're back. I was just thinking about asking you to train my pets. Su Ping broke the news to him. We're closed today. Ha, ha, what? Qin Duhuang's laughter stopped halfway. He stared at Su Ping in surprise. Closing today? Su Ping motioned Joanna to go and inform the customers. Joanna went outside to relay the message to those in line. Those who were hurrying over to the store stopped right then. They looked at each other speechlessly, and then broke into cries of disappointment. Qin Duhuang, who had just gone inside the store in a jolly mood, was chased out by Joanna, which was an embarrassing experience for him. Even so, he didn't dare to reveal his frustration in front of Joanna. Ever since he reached the legendary rank, he had managed to faintly pick up a mysterious force in her. He knew that the girl was a threatening being. He could not understand why Su Ping would assign a legendary battle pet warrior as an employee for his store. Of course, there were many things about Su Ping that he could not understand. Su Ping closed the door. He and Joanna were the only two who remained inside the store. Time to get down to business, Su Ping said. Joanna frowned. She could tell that Su Ping didn't come back in a good mood. He didn't show it, but she could tell, that was what her instincts told her. What do you want to do? Joanna asked. Su Ping didn't answer. He was browsing the list of cultivation sites. Are there any places where the golden crows live? Su Ping asked the system. On his way back, he had worked out a plan. He wanted to develop fast. Other than reaching the legendary rank, he could better the solar bulwark and improve his chaos star chart. He had been cultivating astral powers at all times, it would take time to improve in that regard. The only thing he could do right then was to improve the solar bulwark. He was merely at the first level of the solar bulwark. His physical body's strength had reached the legendary rank thanks to the divine energy and the heavens tests. He had asked the 5 major families to find him the materials needed for the solar bulwark's second level, but only the mayor of the Hanchinj base city had found him too thus far. He needed more. He didn't even know if he could find the rest of the materials on the blue planet. He had received a burst of inspiration during his trip to the deep caves. Why not go to a place where golden crows lived to get the necessary materials? This would certainly speed up the process. If he could attain the second level of the solar bulwark, he could then use some of the skills innate to the golden crows. That would be the fastest way for him to gain more combat strength. Yes. The place where the golden crows live is on one of the Archean plains. The admission cost is high, the system cautioned Su Ping. Su Ping replied, pull up the names. There were too many cultivation sites on the list. It would be faster to have the system search and find the name for him. Admission fee, 9,000/day. 9,000 energy points for a single day. It was as expensive as the Archean divinity. Indeed, the celestial star was a top-level cultivation site. Can I go there, considering my strength? Su Ping asked the system. He was afraid that the environment would be so harsh that he would die the instant he went in. That would be a complete waste of energy points. You're quite resistant to fire and can live there for about 15 minutes, the system replied. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. He knew he was quite resilient when it came to fire. After all, he had explored many cultivation sites and trained himself, not only the battle pets. He wouldn't feel pain if he were to be burnt by regular fire. He had the notion that he was practically immune to fire, but the system had just told him that he only had some resistance to fire. I can only survive for 15 minutes. So, how resistant to fire do I have to be to really survive there? Su Ping asked the system. The system replied, you will have to be more resistant to fire to adapt to the planet's local environment. But all the creatures found there are truly powerful. You won't live for long even if the environment doesn't kill you. How long do I need to do that? Suiping asked. You won't become immune to fire in 10,000 years, if you only live your days in comfort. The system sounded indifferent as it spoke, but I suppose you'll be basically immune to fire after you spend several days on the celestial star. What do you mean by you suppose? You're a smart system, right? Can't you give me an accurate number? Suiping complained. I'm a smart system. So what? Who told you that a smart system knows everything? Why would I give you an accurate number anyway? Do you want a number? Give me 100,000 energy points and you'll know exactly how resistant you are to fire, the system argued. Suiping realized that the system had become more short-tempered as of late. Well, the system had actually been like that from the very beginning. Do you want to give me the energy points? The system challenged Suiping. He didn't say anything. Say that again. Suiping decided to ignore the system. He looked at the balance of energy points. There was more than enough energy points to support his exploration of the celestial star. I will go. Suiping made up his mind. He had no other choice. He would rather spend all the energy points than do nothing. He had to increase his combat strength as soon as possible, so that he could get the little skeleton back. He knew that the pet was quite powerful. Even so, things could go wrong since the little skeleton had to stay in the deep caves for such a long time. Luckily, he could sense that the little skeleton was still alive. Are you sure? The system stopped joking around. If you do so, you will most likely spend all the energy points you have. I can always make more. Money is the most worthless thing. Suiping was determined. The system didn't add anything more. After a few seconds, the system finally said, as you wish, then. A swirl opened up, leading Suiping to the celestial star. Suiping looked at Joanna. She wasn't an outstanding employee yet. He couldn't take her to other cultivation sites because she wouldn't have the advantage of being brought back to life. I have to go away for some time. Take care of the store while I'm away, Suiping said to Joanna. You're not going to my world? Asked Joanna. No. Somewhere different. Joanna watched as Suiping stepped into the swirl. She had become used to seeing him disappear like that. She was still worried because something seemed to be bothering him. The swirl vanished and Joanna came back to her senses. She went to the pet room, found an empty nursing pen and went in to cultivate. Suiping was developing fast. She was also inspired to grow by seeing his progress. Time flew. Suiping felt he had stopped moving. He felt he was surrounded by a scorching heat before he even opened his eyes. It was as if he would have been thrown into boiling water. The host has been connected to the celestial star. 900 energy points are required per each revival. Be mindful, host. Die well, the system reminded Suiping. It sounded mechanical this time. That was not the way the system would usually talk to him. Suiping opened his eyes. A world of red leaped into his eyes, as if formed by volcanic magma. The cracked earth was also red. Magma seemed to be flowing at the bottom of the cracks. Some places with thick soil were charred black, and some strange plants were found here and there. There was a red tree with golden light on the leaves and a few golden fruits hung from its branches. Suiping also saw several clusters of bright red weeds on the burning ground further away. So, this is the celestial star. It is burning me to death. Suiping looked around. His blood pressure was rising and he was sweating. He realized he could soon be scorched to death. Suiping remembered that the system had told him he would be able to last for 15 minutes in such an environment. It was clearly his maximum survival time. A human being could stay in boiling water for some time, but the time itself would be extremely painful. He was being boiled, grilled. Ice. Suiping lifted his hand. He tried to build an ice wall to isolate the heat, but nothing happened. It seemed as if water molecules didn't even exist there. Suiping had used that skill successfully in the past. He had mastered the usage of some elements after repeated explorations in cultivation sites, although he wasn't as proficient as the Dark Dragon Hound, which could use legendary rank skills. He could, however, easily use some low-rank skills. I wonder if the dog and the dragon can survive here, Sua Ping said to himself. That could be a perfect training place for them. He would feel sorry for them if he forgot to let them out to cool off. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two swirls opened up in the air. The Inferno Dragon roared as it stepped out. However, it retracted its feet as quickly as it could the moment it touched the ground with its feet. The roar turned into a meow. The Inferno Dragon was frightened and altered. What the hell is this place? The Dark Dragon Hound retracted its paws as well. The Dark Dragon Hound stood in the swirl, eyeing Sua Ping with fear. The longest distance in the world was when you were in the swirls and I was outside. Get out of there! Sua Ping said grumpily. The Inferno Dragon and the Dark Dragon Hound had to behave. But the Inferno Dragon was wiggling and grimacing in pain as if it were stepping on needles. Its behavior was completely unlike that of a true dragon. The Dark Dragon Hound was doing something even weirder. It put its left forefoot and right rear foot down first and then switched to the other two, back and forth, simply hopping around without stopping. Use your ice skills to lower the temperature, Sua Ping said to the Dark Dragon Hound. Using ice skills would not help the Dark Dragon Hound become more resistant to fire, but Sua Ping had not made the trip just for cultivation. His priority was to find the materials for the second level of the solar bulwark so that he could go back and save the little skeleton. The Dark Dragon Hound raised an ice shield without hesitation. However, the usually dozens of meters tall goddess of ice was merely 3 meters tall or so. The goddess image didn't look like a pretty lady at all. It was in fact quite a sorry sight. The goddess melted just a few seconds after it had appeared. The steam floated toward the Dark Dragon Hound and the heat made the dog bark. I'm surprised that you were able to use it at all. I think we'll have to rely on ourselves, Sua Ping said. Using the skill was not going to help them in the slightest. He didn't try anything else. As of that moment, no skill of the sort would be of any help. He saw the red tree in the distance. A tree able to grow in that harsh environment had to be uncommon. Whoosh! Sua Ping rode on the Dark Dragon Hound and told it to run toward the tree. The Dark Dragon Hound had no other choice, but it chose to run in a strange way, hopping and skipping like before. Sua Ping raised his hand to pick that golden fruit. The fruit was like a burning stone and he almost dropped it. I wonder if the fruit contains any water. Sua Ping looked at the golden fruit. He didn't know what that thing was, but he wanted to try and eat it. He could be revived after all. Crack! He took a bite. He felt he had just eaten fire. A stream of scorching liquid from the fruit passed through Sua Ping's throat. He felt he had just drunk lava, his mouth was about to melt. He saw some golden liquid oozing out from the fruit. It was not water. Sua Ping finished the bite while resisting the pain. The hot pulp reached his stomach. He felt he was burning, inside out. Sua Ping didn't have the courage to have another bite. He threw the fruit to the Dark Dragon Hound because its revivals were free and his revival would cost 900 energy points. It might not seem much, but who could know how many times he was going to die there. He wanted to save whenever he could. Howl! The Dark Dragon Hound cried in misery, it rolled on the ground to endure the pain. Sua Ping felt sad to look at the dog, so he chose not to look at the dog. What? Sua Ping felt how the burning sensation was receding the moment he had jumped off from the Dark Dragon Hound, a refreshing energy was spreading across his body at the same time. He even realized that the temperature was dropping and the pain was being lifted. Soon after, the Dark Dragon Hound stopped rolling around and got up. The dog looked at Sua Ping with surprise. It was clear that the fruit's effect had aroused its interest as well. I see that this is a good thing. Sua Ping picked the remaining 4 fruits. He summoned the purple python and the void bug as well. Hiss! That cyan-colored void bug skipped around and screamed in pain, soon dying on the spot. Sua Ping was not surprised. He didn't spend much time training the cyan bug and would merely carry the bug to soak in Joanna's spring. The pet was merely at the 7th rank, but the amount of divine energy it carried in its body was superior to that of ordinary void bugs. The purple python approached Suaping, the scales on its belly were burnt to a crisp. The poor beast wiggled on the ground. Suaping flew over and stuffed a golden fruit in the purple python's maw. The purple python was in even more pain and soon enough, its scales curled up and peeled off, dying moments after. Suaping brought it back to life and fed it another fruit. This time, the purple python was feeling better, but the pain was still there. Suaping gave the last fruit to the Inferno Dragon. The Inferno Dragon was doing better than the other battle pets to begin with, but Suaping wanted to treat them fairly. Also, there might be some other mysterious effects of the golden fruit that he had yet to realize. The Inferno Dragon was unable to stand up straight, but the golden fruit helped it fend off the heat a little bit. Suaping looked at the tree. Without any hesitation, he dug out the root of the tree and took out his scroll. He wanted to take the tree away with him. However, the edge of the scroll darkened. Startled, he quickly put away the scroll. Damn! I can't believe this artifact can't even handle the heat. Suaping was dumbstruck. The scroll was an interspatial artifact, but the heat was enough to damage it. He believed the scroll would be entirely destroyed if he left the scroll outside for a few minutes. He could tell how harsh the environment was. Even the Inferno Dragon felt the environment was overwhelming. This isn't a common tree. I don't want to give it up. Suaping thought about it. Eventually, he called over the Inferno Dragon and told it to carry the tree on its back for the time being. The Inferno Dragon moved closer and took on the carrier task. Suaping then went to dig out some blades of red grass nearby and threw them to the Inferno Dragon's back as well. He finished the harvest and looked around. Nothing else was in sight, he would have to continue his search. Let's go, Suaping said. He placed the void bug back in the contract space, as it could barely last a second, staying out there would be useless for its level. He decided that the void bug would have to stay in the contract space to rest. Suaping rolled his eyes at the dark dragon hound, it had become a stunning actor to avoid pain. The purple python, on the other hand, was not prone to trickery. The snake was wiggling forward. Not long afterward, Suaping suddenly saw a ball of fire rising in the distance. That ball of fire was approaching them rapidly. As soon as the fireball was close enough, Suaping saw that it was actually a behemoth. The lion-looking beast was around 7 meters tall and fire was burning in its hair and eyes. Even the exposed fangs were aflame. That was a beast of the fire family and there was no doubt of that. Flaming lion? Damn! I didn't know they could be so big. Without any hesitation, Suaping stepped back and turned around to look at the dark dragon hound which was still making that face of extreme suffering. The pet accidentally made eye contact with Suaping as well, it soon decided to turn around and gaze into the distance, as if it would have just noticed something important in the horizon. The purple python was still wiggling and waving on the spot, clearly not in the mood to look at the flaming lion at all. Even if those wild beasts weren't there, survival was difficult for the purple python. Doggy, go! Suaping snorted. The dark dragon hound looked at Suaping with its googly eyes, but he kept a straight face. The dog knew that pretending to be cute would not work on that man-shaped piece of ice. The hound barked and turned over to see the flaming lion. The dark dragon hound had raised many defensive skills, including the dwarfed goddess of ice. The stone family and the wing family skills were still effective there. The skill that worked best in that environment was the dress of the flame muse. A huge shield that was breathing out fire was manifested, it was like 100-meter tall wall that stood in front of the dark dragon hound, and was still expanding. Suaping raised his eyebrows, that shield of fire worked much better there. Roar! The fire surging from the flaming lion took the shape of another lion which ran toward the dark dragon hound, bumping into the dress of the flame muse. Bang! Fire burst free from the shield and surrounded the fire-made lion, cutting the latter into pieces. However, after that, a fire hand slapped the shield, leaving a dent behind. "You can't just stand there, the little skeleton is not here. Get rid of the lion," Suaping alerted the dark dragon hound. The dark dragon hound pricked its ears. The words "little skeleton" must have inspired it, since the unwillingness disappeared. The pet adopted a more serious attitude. "Roar!" The hound bellowed using the dragon's roar he had learned, which echoed in the area. A ray of golden light broke free, the image of a goddess formed behind the dark dragon hound. The goddess drew its bow and an arrow formed with fire was pointed at the flaming lion. Bang! The arrow was discharged, instantly reaching the flaming lion. The sense of danger alerted the beast. It roared and two fire claws appeared, flanking its body and reaching toward the arrow. The two claws and the arrow bumped into each other. Sparkles filled the air as both the arrow and the two claws vanished. The flaming lion remained unhurt after the exchange. Suaping didn't just watch. He had to fill the spot left by the little skeleton while it was away. He also had not planned that trip for training his battle pets. Otherwise, he would have stood idle, letting the dark dragon hound and the purple python do their job. Whoosh! Suaping exerted his full strength, the force field opened up behind him. In the meantime, he was mobilizing all the energy he had, even his blood was boiling. It was a sign that the solar bulwark was in effect. He made a cut with his sword. Swish! The wind died down. The sword ray was pitch dark, Suaping poured divine energy into the cut and hacked at the flaming lion's head. The flaming lion came to a sudden stop and narrowed its eyes, which were two fire spheres. Following that, many flames burst out from the creature. Whoosh! Suaping felt he had lost his target. He cut through the flaming lion, which was split into two balls of flames, and ran away. It instantly came into being again dozens of meters away from him. The beast looked at Suaping and ran away. While the flaming lion ran to escape, its appearance began to change, its body becoming slimmer and longer, which enabled it to run faster. Soon after, the flaming lion had disappeared. Suaping didn't go after the flaming lion. He stored his sword since the beast was gone. "I feel so hot." Suaping placed his hands over his chest, his heart was close to failing him. He was fine while he wasn't doing strenuous exercise. But he felt his blood was burning up as soon as he moved, and his heart was in such a level of pain that he could barely stand it. He tried to take deep breaths, but he was still feeling hot. "Come on, let's go." Suaping bit his teeth. He wanted to adjust his breaths but failed. The world was a furnace, the longer he was here, the hotter he would feel. He would eventually melt in this incinerator. The dark dragon hound deactivated the shields. The pet's sweat turned into steam, and it stuck its tongue out as a way to get some air. Suaping told the hound to follow him. The pet saw that Suaping couldn't even stand up straight. Since its master was suffering, the dark dragon hound decided not to give up. After 20 minutes or so passed, Suaping finally collapsed on the ground after he felt that he was losing his senses. Soon, his consciousness woke up. He chose to revive on the spot. He saw that the dark dragon hound was at the gates of death, and so was the purple python. The inferno dragon was doing better, but it also looked fatigued. Suaping tried to cheer them up and they went forward. The celestial star was a desolate world. Suaping was seeing magma everywhere, he was in scorching pain with each passing second. An idea popped up. He wanted to go back to the comfort of his store and back to the other cultivation sites. How easy that would be! He wouldn't have to suffer. But that idea lived for 1 second and never came back to life. What is that? Suaping saw a vast skeleton and he thought of the word vast because of the sheer size of the thing made it seem like a mountain. Even the inferno dragon was less than 1/10 when compared to the size of one rib. When looking from afar, Suaping would only be like a speck of dust as he walked on the skeleton. If it weren't for the fact that Suaping had encountered unimaginable creatures in other cultivation sites, Suaping would have never believed that such a huge thing existed. While Suaping was walking on top of the skeleton, he heard a shrill cry. Cry. The intangible sound had a weird piercing effect. Suaping found his heart racing and his blood boiling when he heard it. It was like some sort of resonance. Suaping followed that sound and saw a massive golden bird flying over from the distance. He could see flames at the tips of the bird's wings and the bird had 3 feet. The bird didn't look much different from the common birds except that it was larger. If he had to say, he would conclude that the bird looked like a crow. Is that a golden crow? Suaping was dumbstruck. While cultivating the solar bulwark, he had once seen a golden crow and the bird looked just like it. The bird was approaching. Suaping tried to teleport as fast as possible, instantly changing position to a place 1,000 meters above the ground. However, the golden crow had flown past Suaping by the time he went up to the sky. Still, Suaping's teleportation had alerted the bird. It eyed Suaping with a sharp look. Suaping unleashed the energy from his solar bulwark. The golden crow turned around and flew back to Suaping. Suaping heard a refreshing voice in his mind. Energy of the golden crows. The bird didn't open its beak, but Suaping distinctly heard a lady's voice in his mind. Are you a golden crow? Suaping asked. What are you? The voice asked. Suaping replied, I'm a human being. You may not know what a human being is, but that is what we're called. I'm here to find something. I'm learning one of the skills that belong to you, golden crows. I am, kind of, part of your family. Could you help me? Human being. The golden crow looked doubtful. It gazed at Suaping for a while and suddenly coldness filled its eyes. I wonder where you stole our skill. You who stole our bloodline must die. The temperature was rising. He knew that things were going to end badly for him the moment he noticed the change of that golden crow's look, as he was quite sensitive to killing intent. He then found his mind was empty before he could explain. Suaping died. Revive on the spot. Suaping didn't hesitate. The temperature made him cry as soon as he came back to life. He was trembling. What? The golden crow was perplexed. Suaping was only focused on the pain, although he really wanted to say, what are you surprised of? Don't try. You can't kill me, Suaping shouted. It sounded somewhat funny the way it came out. Of course, the golden crow didn't believe him. He turned to dust as soon as he uttered those words. Revival. Death. Revival. Death. Are you done? Are you done yet? Damn it, for the 10th time, Suaping came back to life. He had spent 9,000 energy points in that short instant, but the admission only cost him 9,000 energy points. I told you. You can't kill me. Suaping felt helpless. This time, the golden crow refrained from killing Suaping again. It was awfully confused. Yes, Suaping couldn't be killed. So, human beings were strong, right? The golden crow could not believe it. It had never heard of such a scary race on the celestial star ruled by the golden crow race. Horror. No wonder the seniors in the family said that while they were the rulers, there were dangerous places outside that could hurt them. They were right. This thing called human being is dangerous. The golden crow looked at Suaping. It was feeling an urge to fly away. Suaping was speechless when he saw the caution in the golden crow's eyes. There came a sudden understanding. He felt that gold crows were obtuse. Still, that golden crow should at least be at the star rank, although it wasn't acting like one. The purple blood dragon he had met, for example, was sophisticated. He was never able to figure out what the dragon was thinking when he saw its eyes. I didn't steal anything. One of your, I think, forefathers gave it to me, and I am immensely grateful, Suaping answered. The golden crow could accept this, right? Forefather, the golden crow asked in disbelief, Which one? What does it look like? Do you know the name? Sua Ping was speechless. What does it look like? It looked like all the golden crows. How could I tell the difference? It looked like you. Sua Ping wanted to give up. I don't know its name. I think it called itself something like the system. I think it was a joke, don't you think? No bird would go by that stupid name. Right. You're lying, the golden crow shouted. Sua Ping was startled. What gave me away? The joke about the system? He regretted it. Of all the golden crows, I am the prettiest of all. No other golden crow is like me, the golden crow claimed. It sounded dead earnest. Sua Ping didn't know what to do at all. Lucky for him, he was a handsome guy in this lifetime. He felt better once he came across that thought, and even the heat seemed to be less terrifying. He put on a smile. We were meant to meet, you know. It just so happens that I'm the most handsome among all humans. Considering that fact, how about we have a little chat? Handsome? What? The golden crow finally seemed able to understand Sua Ping. It looked him up and down and said, You four-limbed thing are so gross. I don't know if anyone of your race is pretty. I will curse you even if you're just a girl bird. You should know that. Sua Ping was barely able to keep his anger at bay. He convinced himself not to show his anger for the sake of the greater picture. A gentleman would never harass a woman, scratch that, a girl bird. These are my hands and these are my feet. Never mind, I don't want to discuss this. Let's go back to our topic. I'm trying to find the materials I need for Solar Bulwark's second level. I can be counted as a golden crow, to some extent, when I manage that. So, can you give me a hint as to where I can find those things? Sua Ping asked. He looked at the crow's 3 claws while he spoke. You with 3 legs are mocking me when I only have 2 legs. Hands? Kind of like a golden crow. The golden crow was looking at Sua Ping's hands when it soon noticed something else Sua Ping had just mentioned. It seemed to be angered by it. The golden crow bloodline is the best in the world. That's not something a strange thing like you can get. I don't care where you learned that skill, but you shall be punished with death. Sua Ping was losing his temper. What strange thing? I said that one of your forefathers gave me the skill and I am grateful for it. You're an ancient creature. How come you're not reasonable at all? You are shameless, the system suddenly jumped out. It didn't like it when seeing that Sua Ping could keep a straight face while lying about the solar bulwark. Sua Ping wasn't happy to hear the system step in. You're one to say. Do you want me to tell the golden crow about you? You're the one that is unpresentable, and now you are blaming me for telling a story. Who said I'm unpresentable? Why don't you tell people about me? Let's see who believes you, the system mocked Sua Ping. Sua Ping suddenly realized that indeed, the system was not afraid of being exposed. It was him who was afraid of exposing the system. Damn this system! You are cursing me again. Why? What? Should I curse myself? The system replied with a bah and kept silent afterwards. Sua Ping pulled his mind back to the ongoing situation with the golden crow. No golden crow would tell others outside our race about our cultivation skills. You have lied and you questioned my appearance. You're a creature of trickery. The golden crow sounded righteous and convinced in Sua Ping's mind. Sua Ping wanted to refute that argument, but then realized that while he could say that he never insulted the golden crow's looks, he couldn't come up with a reasonable explanation for the skill he had learned. It might be true that the golden crows had such rules. It wouldn't look well on him if he told more lies. As for arguing about appearances, well, what good could that do to him? The golden crow sounded brimming with pride, given that Sua Ping was tongue-tied at the moment. See? I saw through your deception. You should die because of it, but I don't think I can kill you. You are a strange thing. Never mind. I'll take you back and maybe our elders can find a solution. Suaping was covered in goosebumps. Taking me back to the elders? It went without saying that the elders would be much more powerful than that golden crow. If he had to deal with them, he might not even be able to commit suicide. Run! Suaping teleported away. However, he felt he bumped into something and almost got his nose broken the moment he turned around. Space was confined. Something made space as hard as iron. Sword. Suaping took out his sword and tried to cut. Still, even though he had exerted great strength, the ray of sword light disappeared. What is that about? Suaping felt all hope was lost. Not even the strongest move he had was enough to break the confinement. He had managed to break a space confinement set up by a fate state being. Just like in the deep caves, the thousand-eyed demon beast was unable to stop him. What? Dark energy. The golden crow was surprised to see Ashura force. It could not believe that a race on the celestial star would have been able to master that force. How strange! That was the last thing Suaping heard the golden crow say. Rays of golden light surrounded Suaping. He saw nothing but the golden color after that. He was imprisoned in a golden cube before he knew it. Suaping tried to cut the walls but nothing worked. As a matter of fact, his hands became numb. Once it noticed that Suaping was in trouble, the Inferno Dragon roared and dashed toward him. However, a blast of fire reached the Inferno Dragon the next second. It could not finish its roar before the fire burned the pet to dust. The Dark Dragon Hound also made a move and ended up dying just like the Inferno Dragon. Revive. Without hesitation, Suaping brought them back to life. That came as a bigger surprise for the Golden Crow. Apart from Suaping, those two lowlives were also able to come back to life. The Golden Crow flapped its wings and the golden fire killed the Inferno Dragon and the Dark Dragon Hound yet another time. The Inferno Dragon and the Dark Dragon Hound were using their best skills but none of them worked when it came to fend off the golden fire. Revive. The Golden Crow grew even more curious and imprisoned the two battle pets in similar golden cubes. You are of different races but you can help each other. The Golden Crow found it interesting. It was amazing to see three different races sacrificing their lives for each other's sake. Those actions were impossible as far as the Golden Crow could tell. Even those of the same race would kill each other, not to mention between different races. On the ground, the purple python had just been burnt to death by the heat and Suaping then brought it back to life. The purple python was full of physical strength, since it had just been revived. The purple python lifted the rocks around with its tail and threw them at the Golden Crow. The Golden Crow gave the snake a disdainful look. It had an inborn desire to despise and kill when it came to those things that looked like strips. But the Golden Crow supposed that the snake was also hard to kill. Whoosh! The purple python reached the Golden Crow. The purple python was startled, being so close to its enemy all of a sudden. The overwhelming power of the Golden Crow made the purple python tremble, it curled up in the air and even its scales were shaking. A golden cube covered up the snake. Suaping heard the Golden Crow's voice, "You, strange things. Come with me to see our elders." It darted a glance at Suaping and then flew away. Suaping and his battle pets that were also imprisoned in the golden cubes were pulled forward by an invisible force and trailed behind the Golden Crow. Suaping was wondering if he could get away by suicide or whether he should visit the Golden Crow's den, which would imply wasting a day. Fortunately, he had just bought 1 day for that cultivation site this time, so the trip would not force him to waste time beyond that. He was just worried that the more powerful Golden Crows would find out about his weird revival abilities and would dissect him like a guinea pig to figure him out. System, about the revivals. Can you ensure they are going to work just fine? Will others be able to crack the skill? Suaping asked. Suaping wouldn't have worried if he were in other cultivation sites. However, the resident Golden Crows were the oldest creatures in the universe. He couldn't even imagine how powerful they could get. Do not worry. No one can stop me from bringing you back to life as long as you have enough energy points. The system sounded confident. Sui Ping was a bit relieved, but worry still seized his mind. You have to be certain. Don't be all show-off right now. After all, you wouldn't get another host as handsome as me. You'd be disgusted every day if you ever found an ugly host. I'll go and find a pretty girl when you die. Why would I find an ugly guy? The system answered with a question. Sui Ping was livid with rage. So, you're saying that I'm going to die, right? You're reading too much into that, the system argued back. Sui Ping was not in the mood to banter with the system anymore. He had to trust the system at this point. Committing suicide could help him get away, but the Dark Dragon Hound and the Inferno Dragon would be left behind. He could not order them to commit suicide either, and that included in the rules of the contract. A master could order the battle pets to fight to the death when danger was imminent, but no one could tell their battle pets to kill themselves. Once he committed suicide and got away from the cultivation site, the Dark Dragon Hound and the Inferno Dragon would still be alive. They would end up being taken by the Golden Crows. They would not be in the contract space when the allotted time was over and Sui Ping went back, they would be stranded there forever. He had lost the little skeleton. He could not lose more. So, he decided to go with the Golden Crow. He might be imprisoned and tortured, but the worst result would be for him to waste some energy points. Whoosh! The view flashed past his eyes. He saw some pits and lava lakes. The Golden Crow was flying fast, faster than the speed of sound. Sui Ping was sure the wind alone could have hurt him if it weren't for the Golden Cube, not to mention that the wind was hot on that celestial star. He believed that he would burst into flames. Sui Ping gazed at the view down on the ground. Bored, he began to talk with the Golden Crow. How many Golden Crows are there? The Golden Crow didn't answer. It flapped its wings and would let out a cry every now and then. What kind of status do you have in your family? Sui Ping asked again. Still, no reply. I don't think there are many other Golden Crows as pretty as you, right? I am the only one. The Golden Crow finally began to talk. I don't believe it. Sui Ping didn't sugarcoat his answer. The answer had undoubtedly enraged the Golden Crow. But, since nothing could kill him, the Golden Crow just snorted as a reply. Still, Sui Ping didn't give up on his communication efforts. I heard that Golden Crows are born and raised by heaven and earth. Does that mean you don't have parents? The Golden Crow glared at Sui Ping. Sui Ping didn't mind. He was trying to be nice with the Golden Crow but wasn't working. Since him learning the solar bulwark was against the rules to begin with, there was nothing he could say to change that. Anyway, why would you let out a cry every now and then when you're flying? Sui Ping questioned. That's none of your business, the Golden Crow shouted in anger. The Golden Crow suddenly slowed down while they continued that kind and innocent communication. Sui Ping felt the temperature was rising. Even while inside the Golden Cube, he could feel the heat seeping in. The world around them had no other color but clear gold. Standing in front of him was a towering tree. That was the largest tree that he had ever seen. He saw a golden hue around the tree. He realized upon a closer look that they were Golden Crows. Those crows were so large they could blot out the sun, and yet, they were just the size of a leaf of that ancient tree. Some of the Golden Crows were flying around it, while others were perched on the leaves. Sui Ping was astounded. He had seen many gigantic creatures in other cultivation sites, however, that tree and the Golden Crows still took his breath away. Each Golden Crow was gigantic, even a single feather was the size of an aircraft carrier. They flew around the tree like guardians. An hour passed since Sui Ping saw the tree from a distance. Even though dust and the contorted air had hindered his sight, he was still able to see that tree from quite a far distance. He felt that the tree's crown actually went beyond the star's atmosphere. That's where you live? Sui Ping blurted out. The Golden Crow noticed Sui Ping's astonishment and answered with pride, this is an ancestral land for us Golden Crows. It is an honor for you, odd thing, to come here. Suaping didn't even mind the mockery. Some of the golden crows that were patrolling around the tree flew over. Suaping was able to tell that the golden crow that took him there was shaking because of the wind. Compared with those patrolling golden crows, this golden crow should be considered tiny. It was just the size of a feather from the patrolling golden crows. The surge of heat originated from the gigantic golden crow. Suaping heard such a majestic voice that he was even feeling the urge to kneel and surrender. Lady Daixing, what are the things that you've brought here? Even though Suaping's willpower had been refined, the golden crow still scared him. That golden crow might be at the peak of the star rank or even beyond that. Suaping was amazed. The golden crows were the oldest creatures and they lived long lives. He couldn't even begin to imagine what rank they could reach. The proud golden crow that captured Suaping should be at the star rank. He could not determine the gigantic golden crow's rank. This is a strange creature that calls itself human. I cannot kill it no matter what I do. So, I thought I could bring all of them back to let the elders see. It was the young female golden crow that was doing the talking. You cannot kill them. The gigantic golden crow was shocked. There were creatures that they, the golden crows, could not kill? Were these things some wicked undead creatures? Once this thought arose, the gigantic golden crow showed killing intent. I'll be on my way, the young golden crow female claimed. The gigantic golden crow moved out of the way and replied with respect, "Goodbye, Lady Daixing." Suaping was finally able to learn the name of the golden crow that captured him. As the gigantic golden crow flew away, Suaping finally felt the burden being lifted from him. Your name is Daixing? I think that golden bird treated you quite nicely. But, your combat strength is not that good. Is it because you enjoy a high status here? Not that good. The golden crow named Daixing was pissed. A creature I could squeeze to death is saying that my combat strength is not good? Humph. The golden crow Daixing no longer paid attention to Suaping and flew onward. Suaping didn't pursue the question. He looked around as they traveled, the more he saw, the more stunned he was. The golden crows were even more intimidating than the one that captured him. One of such golden crows could have destroyed the blue planet dozens of times over. Those were true ancient creatures. Luckily, this place is far away from the world I live in. That thought alerted Suaping. He asked the system at once, is the celestial star marked on the Federation maps? The system calmed him down, don't stress yourself over nothing. Your technology cannot detect something this far away. Why else do you think you can live in such comfort? Suaping was relieved. The system was right. It would be a disaster for humanity if those golden crows came into contact with the Federation. Those golden crows were ancient creatures, and every one of them was a warrior. The golden crow girl that captured him was at the star rank. What about the others? It scared him to even think about it. Whoosh! Daixing took Suaping and they gradually went closer to the tree. It seemed that the tree was close, but it took the golden crow a long time to arrive. The leaves were enlarged in Suaping's sight as they moved closer. Eventually, all that Suaping could see was a single leaf, its veins were like wide streets running across each other. Daixing was flying toward the crown of the tree, golden crows greeted her along the way. Suaping was sure that Daixing did have a high status. Even a creature as fast as Daixing had to fly for over a dozen minutes before reaching a particular twig, where many golden crows were resting. Suaping was unable to tell how many there were. The fact was he couldn't even see the full body of a single golden crow. Those golden crows were similar in size as those doing the patrolling rounds. I am in their official den. Suaping could feel those terrifying breaths around him. He was like an ant served to a group of giants and he couldn't run away. If it weren't for the fact that he had been trained in many cultivation sites, the fear alone would have claimed his life. Suaping held his breath. He wasn't afraid of death, but that didn't make him any less afraid. Whoosh! Daixing was petite when compared to those golden crows. Still, the fact remained that Daixing was as large as an aircraft carrier and it was nothing remotely close to petite. They landed on a twig that Suiping was only able to partially see. Daixing grabbed the twig with its 3 claws and folded its wings, then moved forward. There were some leaves at the end of the twig which blotted out the sky. Huge golden crows were resting under the leaves. The closer they were to the leaves, the less sky Suiping was able to see. Eventually, Suiping could only see a golden leaf and its veins. "Nice to meet you, my honorable elders." Daixing bowed before 3 massive golden crows. The 3 golden crows were even larger than the patrolling golden crows Suiping had just seen. Daixing was just 1/5 of a single feather on their backs. Compared to them, Daixing was just like a speck of dust and Suiping wasn't even visible to the naked eye. "Hey!" While Daixing was expressing her regards, the golden crow sitting in the middle suddenly opened its squinted eyes. "Kyang Er, what is that behind you?" Daixing answered at once, "Chief Elder, it is a strange creature I found outside and it calls itself human. I couldn't kill it no matter what I tried. It has also learned our skills. It must have stolen it from some place. So, I decided to bring it with its companions for you to see. You cannot kill it." The golden crow sitting on the right opened its eyes, revealing a sharp look. "Have you tried the special flames?" "Yes." Daixing nodded. She found the fact strange, especially because not even the flames had been enough to kill those creatures. Daixing knew that the flames it produced were powerful enough to burn basically anything to dust, except when the opposing creatures were at a higher rank. No armor or shield could withstand that flame. It was evident that Suiping was weak, and yet the flames could not kill the creature. It was quite strange. "I have never heard of anything called a human. Look. There is darkness inside that thing." "Is it from the undead family?" the golden crow on the left asked. Its voice was gentle and refined. The other golden crows resting on the surrounding leaves sized Suiping up with curiosity. "Look at him," the chief elder gazed at Suiping. "If I'm right, he should be the descendant of a heaven master." "The descendant of a heaven master?" The other 2 golden crows eyed their chief elder in disbelief. "This body structure is odd. In the early days, I once visited a heaven master with our forefather, and that heaven master looked like this," the chief elder explained. The other golden crows were surprised. This tiny thing was the descendant of a heaven master? Suiping heard that as well. He raised his head but was only able to see the lower half of the golden crows, their upper halves were beyond his sight. He could not even begin to think how large those golden crows were. He thought the golden crows had surely controlled their voices because he could hear them, but it didn't sound harsh to the ears. It was more like the voices were in his head, like when Daixing talked to him. The descendant of a heaven master. Suiping was curious. He had become used to being called a strange creature. He would have also found some foreign species strange as well. He was strange and foreign in their perspective. "System, what is a heaven master?" Suiping asked. The system answered after a few seconds, "Heaven master, the master of heaven. You cannot quite see that nor imagine it. You wouldn't understand." "The master of heaven." Suiping could not understand. "Heaven? Isn't heaven the atmosphere?" In the old days, people often prayed to heaven for their wishes to come true, but that was superstition. According to the scientific definition of modern society, heaven was just the atmosphere and the space outside the planets. However, it seemed that according to the system, heaven did exist. The system merely pretended not having read Suiping's mind and stopped talking. "To avoid wars, we, the Golden Crows, have closed the star for years. How come a descendant of the Heaven Master is here?" the Golden Crow sitting on the right asked. That Golden Crow sounded resolute and stable. "Has something happened to that Heaven Master? Has the Heaven Master sent his descendant to seek shelter here? But this descendant is too weak. Even living is a problem for him," the Golden Crow sitting on the left argued. The other Golden Crows eyed their chief elder with curiosity. Daixing, who had brought Suiping over, sized him up. Daixing had heard of the name Heaven Master many times but it had never seen one. There were many Heaven Masters and they were all as powerful as the Golden Crow ancestors. Was this diehard, foul-mouthed guy truly a descendant of the Heaven Master? A Heaven Master that looked like this? How ugly! Daixing shook its head. As a person, bird, that was a face judger, it could not bear a guy without any aesthetic value. Suiping noticed that Daixing was shaking its head with eyes filled with contempt. As a face judger himself, he immediately understood where that contempt was coming from. It was unbearable. He preferred death over that humiliation. One day, I will pluck all of your feathers. Suiping said to himself. Daixing cast a glare at Suiping. The chief elder spoke again. It did not answer the other two Golden Crows' questions. The chief elder was asking Suiping, human. Where are you from? Why are you here? The Golden Crows fixed their gazes on Suiping. All of a sudden, Suiping felt he was shouldering 10 mountains because even the looks from the Golden Crows were overwhelming. He might have lost his mind or even his life if he were any weaker because of the gazes. Suiping was relieved since he didn't sense any killing intent from the chief elder's questioning. I am Suiping and I come from a distant planet occupied by humans. I'm just here to look for materials so I can reach the second level of the solar bulwark. I want to do that so I can save my friend. Where did you learn that? The chief elder asked again. Suiping was unable to tell if it was angry or happy. Well, one Golden Crow gave me that. I offered a little bit of help in the past. Suiping kept a bold face as he spoke. He could lie without turning a hair to Daixing but he wasn't as confident when dealing with the chief elder and so many other Golden Crows present. However, the chief elder didn't seem to have realized it was a lie. How did you get here? We have closed our star. It is impossible for you to have come from outside. Suiping did not know exactly what the Golden Crow meant by saying closed the star but he could somehow work out a theory. He had to bite the bullet. I have a special method which allows me to teleport here directly. That is my secret, I'm sorry for I cannot tell you the details. The chief elder kept quiet for a second before it asked, you're here just to look for the materials needed for the second level of the solar bulwark, right? Suiping nodded. Yes. Nonsense. The Golden Crow sitting on the right snorted. Do you honestly think you can lie to us? That will never work. We can immediately see through your lies. Suiping moaned and groaned inside. It was unlikely that the Golden Crow was bluffing. He was sure that it was beyond the star rank realm, probably on par with beings like the Heaven Master. He could not even begin to imagine what skills the Golden Crows had. I'm just here to find the materials, I want nothing else. Suiping didn't say that he didn't lie. It was true that he only had one agenda. He didn't hold a grudge against the Golden Crows or something, so there was no guilt at all. The worst thing that could happen would be torture. He just hoped that the system was serious when it promised that the revivals were reliable. If the Golden Crows could figure out why he could come back to life and stop that, he would never be able to draw another breath.